Hello and welcome back to the Ascent Cycling Podcast for today's daily recap of the Tour de France stage 13 today between Nîmes and Carcassonne, a sprint stage that had the potential to see a breakaway win like yesterday. However, the peloton this time decided against it. As you can see, I'm on my own today, no Joe, and there won't be Joe not anymore. There won't be Joe tomorrow either, as the man is in London to enjoy the Euros. So fair play to him. But yeah, it's gonna be maybe a slightly quicker. There wasn't that much things as well to talk. We did have a breakaway attempt at the start. Just like yesterday, you had all of the sprinting teams having someone up front. I believe Casper Asgen was there yet again for the kind of quick step. But Trek, one of the teams that had no one up front, decided to chase them back, and everyone went back in together. And then you had yet another breakaway with Sean Bennett, Pierre Latour, and Omer Goldstein, who would then on to take the 20 points at the intermediate sprint, in which Mark Cavendish would lose a couple of points on Sonny Colbrelli and Michael Matthews. But then, it was quite a straightforward stage until, I think, kilometer 50, 60, where we had a huge crash. A lot of riders had been caught in the incident, some falling into a ditch. I believe like 35 riders go up in St. Keesbol, Nasser Boigny, Tim de Klerk, Stefan Kung, Zoran Kraf Andersen, who was already feeling quite weak after the double Ventoux stage, on which he made the time cut by 3 seconds. He fell today. Rafa Maika, I think, worked pulse as well from a polka dot jersey. But mainly we had 2 riders withdrawing following that crash. Roger Kluge and Simon Yates, who tried to go back on his bike, but I think he just couldn't crack it. So first alpha bike exchange, the second alpha bike exchange would come in 10 kilometers after, with Lucas Hamilton as well withdrawing from the Tour de France. So 3 withdrawals, I believe, today. And just a very tough Tour de France for most of the riders there in bike exchange. Because I believe just after the abandon of Lucas Hamilton, Sergio Henao did crash, without consequences though. But with 20k to go, peloton brought back the breakaway with Quentin Paché, I believe, being the sole rider up front. Van Aert tried to go for a little move as the peloton tried to make some echelons happen. However, it didn't, and we ended up having a mass sprint. Final 5k were quite tricky. De Koninck led out quite early. I think Max Walscheid as well was there, which was somewhat odd because I didn't expect him to be this early in the early positions, as if, I mean, he's a sprinter, no leader man. But De Koninck took the lead. No Tim de Klerk, as he had fallen behind, but you had Mattia Cattaneo, Ballerini, Michael Mourkau, and Mark Cavendish. It looked to be a procession, but then in the final corner, final left-hander, I believe, DSM went and took the lead of the peloton for Keesbol. Nasser Boigny slot himself in the wheel of Michael Mourkau. And, well, De Koninck stood up, so they had Davide Ballerini create a bit of a gap that Ivan Garcia Cortina bridged. Michael Mourkau launched his sprint. Mark Cavendish launched his sprint. Jasper Philipsen launched his sprint. Jasper Philipsen was just not strong enough today to try and overtake the Manx Missile, who on the line jumps Michael Mourkau to make it a 1-2 for the current quick step, a win of Mark Cavendish ahead of Michael Mourkau, Jasper Philipsen, Ivan Garcia Cortina, and P5 for Danny Van Poppel. But mainly, today in Carcassonne, Mark marks the history as he gets a 34th win and equals Eddie Merckx. I mean, I'm recording this straight after the finish, so I haven't listened to the post-race interview. But if he says that he doesn't want to hear the name to any commentator now, I'm gonna slap him so much that he will go back to 33 wins. Wrapping up the top 10, we've got Aleix Aramburu from Astana Permete getting P6, I believe his best result on the Tour de France for what has been quite an underwhelming tour for Astana as a whole, if we forget Alessa Lutsenko. Christophe Laporte gets P7, André Greipel in 8, Magnus Cort Nielsen, the latest winner in Carcassonne in 2018, gets in P9 with Jasper Stoven in P10. Nasser Boigny, who was very well placed, finishes in P11, and Keesbol, who had, his team launching him at a very good position, ends up in P19, just behind Davide Ballerini, who had made the first gap. But yeah, overall, 1-2 for De Koninck. Mark Cavendish gets another 50 points for the sprint classification. Michael Mourkau prevents more sprinters from getting points, meaning that with 8 stages left in this Tour de France, Mark Cavendish is currently 101 points ahead of Michael Matthews. The green jersey has never been this close to coming home with Mark Cavendish. I mean, the story would be so unreal. The story would be so fucking unreal. Meaning that 10 years after his first green jersey, Mark would add a second one. I can't think of many riders who won a points jersey with an interval of 10 years, or any distinctive jerseys within 10 years, except like white jersey and yellow potentially. But that's kind of mad. That's kind of mad. Mark Cavendish is truly back, you know. When it comes to tomorrow's stage, we do have a hilly towards mountainy stage between Carcassonne and Quillan. Quillan, for the first time in their history, having the arrival of a Tour de France stage. I believe they were an intermediate sprint a couple of years ago on the Tour. But quite an accidented profile. We'll start with the Col du Bac, a third cut, then the Col de Montségur, 4 kilometers at an average of 8%, Col de la Croix des Morts, 7 kilometers average of 6, then Côte de Gallinag, 2.2 average of 8, and finally, I believe 17 kilometers from the end, the Col de Saint-Louis, 5 kilometers, an average gradient of 7, with bonus seconds at its summit. Not that they really matter right now, because I mean we kind of know who's going to win the Tour de France technically. But yeah, 184 kilometers tomorrow. The weather should not be too difficult. Maybe a bit warmer than it's been in the past couple of days, which is absolutely perfect, except for Tadej Pogačar, who hates warm weather. But I believe that we're gonna see a breakaway winning tomorrow in Quillan. The profile suits a mass attack, and I mean, as I'm on my own, I'm gonna move straight into the predictions element of this preview. I've just made it 3-3, equalizing with good old Joe with the win of Mark Cavendish, meaning that out of the 6 points we have, 5 of them come from Mark Cavendish, the other comes from Julien Alaphilippe. So, Ducadon Quickstep has niced us during this Tour de France. Joe gave me his prediction, only his winner, not the rest of the podium, my apologies on that. But he is backing Omar Fraile to win for tomorrow's stage between Carcassonne and Quillan, the Spanish champion from Astana. And I feel like there's a lot of riders that can be able to compete tomorrow. There's one team I want to see do well, and that will be Bike Exchange, as they've lost Simon Yates and Lucas Hamilton. Sadly, I don't think there's anyone in their team that could really challenge. I don't think Esteban Chaves really fits this kind of parkour. But I'm going to back, I believe, I'll go with Baron Victorious to win tomorrow through Matej Mohoric, who's going to get a second stage win on this Tour de France. I think the profile suits him. If he's as strong as he was in the early Tour de France, then I believe he's got a lot of chances tomorrow. Joining him on the podium will be a Spaniard from Astana. That's going to be Aleix Aranburu to take P2, and P3 will be for Valentin Madouas. But this, nevertheless, is where I'm going to wrap up this podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, then please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and to leave a like down below if you're listening over on YouTube. If you're listening on your favorite streaming platforms, then do make sure to hit the follow button there, as there may be something quite interesting as well coming in the next few days. But I do hope you've enjoyed it. Number 34 for Mark Cavendish. Could it be number 2 for Matej Mohoric tomorrow? We'll see. Have an amazing day, guys.